Hi, my name is Bryn Wallace. I'm an alcohol and drug counselor and marriage and family therapist at Quest Counseling. I'm here today to talk to you about the effects of alcohol on women, more specifically, the health and physiological effects that alcohol can have on women within their childbearing years. So, I'm going to give you some information and show you a few things today, and hopefully, you leave this video with more information than you started. Um, One thing that's important to know is that alcohol sits in the body in water, and for pound, women have less water in their bodies than men do, which means that after a woman and a man of the same weight drink the same amount of alcohol, a woman's blood alcohol concentration, or as you may know it, the BAC, will tend to be higher in a woman, which can put her at a greater risk for harm. And what do we mean by harm? Well, one of the things that people talk about when they think of the blood alcohol content and concentration risk is physiological harm. That can lead to liver damage. So women who regularly misuse alcohol are more likely than men who drink the same amount to develop alcoholic hepatitis, which is a potentially fatal alcohol-related liver condition. And that pattern of drinking, that increased heavy alcohol use, can also lead to cirrhosis, which is permanent liver scarring. So these are things we get really concerned about for people, and we want to caution you about when you're considering alcohol consumption. Another important area of study, and that people have been paying a lot more attention to, especially with new technology, is the effects on your brain. So research is suggesting that alcohol misuse produces brain damage more quickly in women than in men. So in one study of teenage biological females who did report binge drinking, it was shown those participants were shown to have less brain activity and worse performance on a memory test than a peer who drank lightly or abstained. Furthermore, girls who drink heavily show a greater reduction in the size and the activity in important areas of the brain involved in memory and decision making. I think that has implications about binge drinking and blackouts and being able to remember and things that happen when you are drinking, putting you at risk, literally physical risk for your safety, and being able to remember what happened and how to keep yourself safe. Also important to know is that there have been links to higher consumption of alcohol and women developing breast cancer. So there are some studies that demonstrate women who consume about one drink per day have a slightly higher risk, 5 to 9%, of developing breast cancer than women who don't drink at all. And that risk is reported to increase for every additional drink that you have per day. Another physiological risk that I want you to be aware of is that women who drink and consume more than 2 drinks of alcohol per day are at higher risk for coronary disease than women who drink less than 2 drinks per day. So that's heart disease, which is the leading cause of death in our country. So I want to show you, share my screen with you and show you one thing here about what we mean by what is the standard drink. So what is 1 drink per day? What is 2 drinks per day? And what's more than that? So a standard drink would be 12 fluid ounces of beer. So it's 1 can of beer, or 8 to 9 fluid ounces of malt liquor. Also could be 5 ounces of table wine. So if you drink 2 beers or 2 glasses of wine, or 1.5 fluid ounces of a shot or a distilled spirit, so 2 of those, that's considered the maximum amount that you would be drinking in order to decrease the effects of things like heart disease or breast cancer, and even less of an increase is abstaining from alcohol use altogether. So those are really important things to pay attention to when you're considering alcohol consumption. Not to mention increased alcohol use, persistent alcohol use can lead to other areas of distress, not only physiologically, but for your mental health and for your relationships. I'm gonna stop my share here. And another biological and physiological impact that alcohol use can have is infertility. So heavy drinking can cause a disruption in your menstrual cycle. So unpredictable periods, and not knowing when you're going to have your period or missing it altogether, as well as leading to difficulty getting getting pregnant, and furthermore difficulty in with the fetus, so potentially miscarriage and also abnormalities with the fetus. So those are important things to pay attention to and think about when you're considering alcohol use. I mentioned earlier in this video that alcohol use earlier in your life, you have a higher risk of developing an alcohol use disorder as your lifetime goes on. So if you're drinking a lot when you're younger, binge drinking maybe, and maybe it's not affecting your life in a problematic way when you're a teenager, and yet you keep those habits going into your adulthood, it can become a use disorder. And that's not to say you can't have a use disorder as a teenager. That's absolutely possible. It's just establishing a pattern of behavior that could potentially be harmful later in your life. And finally, I want to end on the safety of what happens when I made reference to binge drinking and blackouts, and there's physical harm and physical safety risk that comes with not being aware, not being able to have memory of what's going on around you, and alcohol can put you at risk. Too much alcohol can do that, and leading to more vulnerability for sexual assault and unplanned and unsafe sex. And those are really important things to consider when you are thinking about consuming alcohol or when you are consuming alcohol. So those are all really important health risks and concerns and considerations when thinking about alcohol use. I hope that you've learned some things today, or maybe refreshed your memory on some things you already knew. I appreciate your time, and keep an eye out for more of these videos. Thanks so much.